Happy Friday, everyone. As we endure another day of quarantined hell, me and Kevin Wallace of the Post Cincinnati haven't forgotten about the Post, the most up to date with all your latest FCC news whenever it happens. We've returned.
Soon,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as soon as we have some news, I'll be happy to write about it.
I don't know why that threw me so much. Wow, Kevin spoke, and now I don't know what to think. Jesus. And run down some FCC and FCC adjacent topics. Kevin, welcome back. As it says here, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. A Mandalorian puzzle. She's watching Star Wars now. It's been a pretty chill Friday evening in the old quarantine at the Wallace household, so not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, I went out into the world today. There was other people at a playground we were briefly at, and as I pulled my small child away, he said, "Why? I want to play." And I said, "Dark times, my friend. Dark times. They'll never understand." But it was nice to be outside amongst the world. But what do you think about this setup, Kevin? Huh? What about this rundown? This original idea?
It feels very professional. And yeah, I completely agree. I think this is a very unique, fresh take in the sports world, having two guests or two hosts kind of work their way through a rundown. I mean, who's coming up with these kinds of ideas?
It'll be copied before you know it. And I added to my background this time. As you can see, I have 4 Knifey Lion radio scarves, and I've got
good.
I can't know which hand to hold up. I got my frescoes.
There you go.
My upside down FCC posters. So yeah, compete with that.
I have like the worst of the worst scarves behind me. I mean, in addition to some good ones, there's some good ones in there, but I might be one of the only people hanging up the standing room only scarf. And I also have the Crystal Palace split scarf. So only the best for the folks tonight.
Well, yeah, let's get into topic number 1. Let's hope my countdown doesn't break my computer because it's already there we go. Oh, Lacadia. It's a thing that's on everyone's mind. Is there anything else even happening? I don't know. Jurgen Lacadia, FCC's longtime 2-game DP, posted a bye pic on Instagram. Looks like Loco would rather not wait out the pandemic with his new bros in Cincinnati. What's the deal? Kevin, this applies to players around the globe as well, but with a 6-month loan agreement, is it possible we never get to see Loco play for Cincinnati again? Is it on the table?
I don't think we see Loca again. I think we've seen him play for 2 games and that's it. He clearly was not intending to put down roots here in Cincinnati. Otherwise, I don't think he would have split. I think if he was looking to make Cincinnati his new home, he would have hung around. I mean, it sounds like this quarantine, or at the very least MLS's league shutdown, is going to go right up against his loan agreement. He's got nothing here in MLS. He'll find a good team in Europe somewhere. I'm going to say we never see Lacadia play for FCC again.
I put it out there kind of as a throwaway question, but you really just broke my heart there with your actual answer. Jeez Louise. I will say, it seems wherever Lacadia goes, I'm not sure he puts down the roots. Every place he's in looks like he just got the keys to the condo that day and just walks in, sets up his DJ studio, and really that's all that he has in there. So every selfie he takes, he's in like an empty apartment. I'm like, this could be here. This could be in the Netherlands. This could be in Germany. This could be in England. You really can't tell, but
right.
The bye part. Yeah, that got to me. But what was your favorite Jurgen moment if we've seen the last of him, huh?
I think my favorite Jurgen moment was him replying to, was it Alashe? Just snitch. When Alashe said, that doesn't look like Cincinnati. And just a very cool, French or Dutch looking, cityscape behind him. And he just responded with snitch. And it was like, if they were friends, that's funny, but I don't know if they ever got to be friends. So,
Jurgen, man, really love the beats. Love what you're doing with them. It's my fatai. It's pretty good. Oh, we lost one viewer when I started my fatai. I don't know. There could be a delay there, but
it's too much
I'm pretty proud of it myself, actually. According to the clock, we've got 2 minutes 30 left to talk about Lacadia. Jeez Louise.
How about you? What's your favorite? What was your favorite Lacadia moment in the great pantheon of Lacadia moments?
It's got to be the airport. The airport situation was.
That's true.
was something special because he looked a little put off. You had Liz with her "Oh God." It was just a very FCC moment, and but the fans showed up for it, and that could have been the only time in person that we really got to cheer that close to him.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I did not go to the player meet and greet event before the season, if he was there, or something like that. Maybe you got to see him, but yeah, the airport is probably when the most number of people got to cheer for him.
I saw at the event, I was in the parking garage looking for a spot when I saw Harrison Medunjanin and Lacadia walking up through the garage, and that's not much of a story, but fills the time. And you know what? It's like I got a ding that goes at the end of the timer. It's like I kind of want to wait it out for the ding.
Oh no, we can wait for the ding. That's not a problem. So okay, so here's my question for you. Do you think he releases a song before he scores another goal?
Quarantine equals creativity. I think we've learned that. I don't know if you've seen the celebrities singing John Lennon's Imagine, which I was weeping at the end of once I got to Natalie Portman's line, and it was pretty spectacular. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt he's got all the time in the world. He seems like kind of a solitary guy. I know some people just take pictures, post pictures of themselves on Instagram. Doesn't mean that they're alone, but for some reason Lacadia kind of has the fact that he was like, yeah, I'll go to Cincinnati, tells me he was kind of a little bit of a loner guy. So yeah, it's been we had a nice run, and if that's all we got of him, I'm glad I put in hours and hours and hours and hours into his player banner, which
I completely forgot about that. Oh no.
But I say we still hang it. You know, it's a piece of art.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if the ding went off, but the time went off. Thank God.
Okay.
We can move on.
Well then, yeah. If we're off to topic 2, I'll let you switch the graphic there. But question for you, Jonah. Oh my God, I nearly forgot your name. I wanted to call you Loka the whole time.
Please
okay, so
Joka.
MLS. They have suspended the suspension of their season along with USL and a couple of other leagues. The suspension is indefinite at the moment, although they're targeting that May 10th timeline that the CDC has put down. They also intend to complete a full season in that time. Does this seem at all realistic to you?
Great question. I love the way you worded it, Kevin. That's all I gotta say. It's beautiful words. To that I say no. May 10th. What is it right now? I'm going to do some math. January, February, March, April, May. 2 more months from now. It seems hard to swallow. It doesn't seem like we're even close to cresting this wave of pain. So my guess would be no, and a complete schedule would be a no. But and honestly, it's hard to even fathom soccer happening again at this point. But I don't know. What do you think? When do you have you always have numbers. You have like to rank teams and fantasy pro rels. I'm sure. Have you come up with a strategy for a return yet?
So I think the easiest way to do it would be, and this might be an interesting test run for what they do if they do decide to merge with Liga MX or do make major modifications to the schedule going forward, is that they would just isolate the 2 leagues or the 2 conferences and just have the Western Conference teams play each other twice and the Eastern Conference teams play each other twice. I mean, obviously, excepting any of those games that might have already happened, and just play your season and your playoffs out from there and just have no interconference play. I think that's the easiest way to do this. It still keeps it relatively balanced. The playoffs still make sense. And it, cuts a third of the games out because we're basically losing a third of the season. So might not be a bad solution to this.
I would be down with that. And, I think we'll all be so thirsty at that point that anything that they give us, we're going to be, we'll find it to be acceptable. And as far as the Western Conference teams, there's good teams that you'd like to play, but I'm not losing any sleep over not playing any of them. I'd like to have that Nashville game. That would be fun, but
yeah,
I can live without
maybe they
them.
do. Yeah. Maybe they do. Like they try to experiment with like divisions and put them in pods. So we might play like Nashville, Chicago, Kansas City, Columbus a number of times or something. So there's a couple of like exotic ways around this. But yeah, if they're going to try to cram all of this in before the end of the year, I mean, we're going to be playing every other day through stretches of this year. So that's going to be awful, even if they do pull it off.
But also kind of tight. Squeeze them all in there.
Just a game every night for a week. It would be, I'm trying to think, like playing like our Gotham League is already like tiring on my knees once a week. So I could only imagine what like a Medunjanin out there, whatever he is, like 48 years old. Like that's got to be brutal.
It might slow him down a little bit. Possibly. Good enough for me. I don't need the ding this time. Let's move on to our next one. Ron Jans. Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? Oh, it's only been 1 month. Can you believe it? 1 month since Ron Jans was fired / resigned. In Corona time, Kevin, that's 6 years. Life as we know it has flipped on its head. How innocent were we? And the dumb, wait, sorry, let's read this right. But how innocent were we and the dumbest of our FCC fans who treated that incident as if it was the end of the world when the actual end of the world was soon to come? Kevin, a month. Oh, things have changed.
Yeah. A month ago, this felt like the biggest deal. I remember like talking about this with a couple of Uber drivers around that time. And like they had just no idea like what was going on. Like I had to do the exact same conversations I felt like I was doing in 2016, where it's like, yeah, man, we have a team. No, they're professional. It's a major league. The more I try to explain this, the dumber it feels. And so it's like, yeah, but then the coach got in this like racial controversy, and it's like trying to explain to somebody that like your world is ending, and it's just like not even on their radar is a very weird sensation. So yeah, to go from that of like it being like the driving force of like, I don't know, the narrative behind our team, behind our city, even in the soccer world. Max and I wrote this real long piece about it, and then Max followed it up with another fantastic thing, and it was just like everything was focused around this. And now, yeah, it feels like Ron Jans was like a decade ago. Like Alan Koch, for some reason, feels like more recent in FCC coaching, lineage than even Ron Jans does. So I don't know. How about you? How do you feel, Ron Jans 1 month later,
I feel like
everything that's going on?
The Venn diagram of you're not going to stop me living my life and Ron Jans did nothing wrong. It's a complete circle.
Yes.
Also toilet paper hoarders, but there's a lot of Ron Jans Venn diagrams, but I miss the days when that was the most depressing thing going on. And I think Koch feels more recent because Koch like has tweeted twice about the team since like good luck to everyone or blah blah blah, or like I've heard from him more recently than I've heard from Ron Jans. So yeah, it was a good time. Great country, B105, but I wonder what he's up to now. I wonder, is the Netherlands on less of a lockdown? They're kind of flying under the radar. They're a smaller country, but I haven't heard much. I'm sure they have Corona. Europe's not that big, so.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, and I might be mixing up the Netherlands and Denmark here, but one of the two was actually going to go forward with the whole herd immunity concept, which is everybody who is potentially vulnerable, lock yourselves away, and everybody else live your life as normal, and you'll all get this really bad flu, but most of you probably won't die. And then once we got past that, you all will be immune going forward, kind of like the chicken pox. Like, you hear stories of like the good old days with like a family with 15 kids and one kid would get chicken pox. So they just lock all the kids in one room until they all had chicken pox so they could just like get it over with and get it out of the way. So they're going to try that with a whole country. So we'll see how it goes.
One of our commenters says the Netherlands is looking at a lockdown this weekend.
Oh, well,
breaking news.
Better late
Fuck
than
you,
never.
How dare you doubt the Dutch? Never doubt the Dutch.
Oh, man. Well, if all of these... oh, that's so true. But yeah, if any of these like creepy pasta, copy pasta text messages I get that always seem to be screenshots of somebody texting to a giant group about how the military is going to lock us all down next week. Then maybe the Netherlands has that too. So who knows?
Who does know? 42 seconds. Ronyan's final thoughts. Still don't miss you. Even in the midst of all this, I hope you don't catch it, because I guess you are in the demographic that could possibly die more likeliness. So, yeah, great word I just made up there. Should we?
That's a huge advantage. Sorry, we
please.
should not move on, because Johan Demay is probably like the best chance of all Major League Soccer managers to not get coronavirus, or at least not die from it. So maybe FCC was ahead of the curve on this one.
Head of the curve, behind the times strategically, but we're trying to stay alive
don't worry
here.
Yeah. Survive in advance. So
That's all it's about. Let's hope my ding went off. Next topic. Let's see if we can get our special guest on the line. It says he's on the line in my image, but he's not yet. Bracketology. Hey, do you want to read the bracketology part while I see if I can seduce Matthew Brew into the chat?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely not a script up here for what to read. So, yes.
So let's see if I can figure this out.
So, diving into a little bracketology, the Queen City War Pigs on Twitter released their 64 scarf bracket, and already the internet is abuzz with excitement. Workplace productivity taking a huge hit this week as Cincinnatians filling their own out, set to determine the best scarf in FC Cincinnati history. Joining us to talk about some of the matchups, what to expect, maybe some criticisms with the selection committee's process and decision making here, is bracketologist Matt Brew. Here's to hoping Jonah got this together. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Just gotta go. We're gonna hear it all together if it works or not. But I would like to say I was a little proud of that line about workplace productivity. It's funny because
it was beautiful.
All right, we're calling him. Let's see what happens. Oh, you just oh God, everything's gone. You're splitting you.
Wait, I hear him.
Whoa! Okay, let's resize.
Hey!
Oh.
Let's add another source in here. Matthew, can you hear us?
I don't know what's going on. This is technology. I know. I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's phenomenal. Technology is working
doing
well.
Something. Let's see. We have. Let's just move on to I'll move on to the page where I can't see either of you guys. Matthew, so glad of you to join us. Have you seen what the Queen City War Pigs put out today?
Oh, thanks. I was watching the seating reveal yesterday, like every.
Well, I'm looking here at the first two seeds. Let's go ahead and I'm going to put those on the screen. The 1 and 2 seeds. Your number 1 seeds looks like you went with all supporters groups. You went with no, not you. Whoever put these out went with the OG scarves. Not you, definitely not. You're just the Bracta. Whatever handsome lad put it out. I get so confused. It's so late for me. But of the top 2 seeds, is there one that stands out? Is there a home run slam dunk amongst the top 2 seeds out there? Hey, think about it hard. Every time you cut out, it just makes it that much more entertaining for everybody streaming at home. The 3 and 4 seeds. Oh, I really appreciate this. Giving the Knifey Line Radio Ramen a 3 seed. We've also got a little controversial being this low. People love the beer koozie FCC scarf. And then we've got the Legion. We've got the Firm makes their first appearance, Brioche, and Queen City War Pigs. Between the 3 and 4 seeds, any of those jump out at you? You also have this year's Norden scarf. There's a lot of good ones at 3 and 4.
Doing well in the early tournament bracket, but with no SG to bolster the vote totals, I really do see the KLR scarf going well. I see a clear path into the Elite 8, possibly even the Final 4 on that. And as far as scarf is concerned, considering the War Pigs ran the bracket, they made all the seeding. I was surprised they didn't give themselves a higher seed on Sweet 6 War. I watches Anyway, but that's a big thing out of that number 3 seed, that number 4 seed right there. You don't know how it's going to go. And you know what? That's why you love the tournament. When you're dancing, anything can happen right here.
Literally anything can happen. I agree with that. I will get to. We won't go through all of them.
Nice.
I have a question for you. I'm wondering if there's some sort of
Go for
implicit
it.
bias against Hanger 937. They're a little bit of an underdog, and they seem to have been given a little bit of the short stick. What is it with Hanger 937 that the selection committee did not seem to care too much about?
I was shocked when I saw that. I was shocked Hanger 937 coming late in the tournament. But you know what? When you think about it, you have ideas behind obvious preference with the committee with those number 1 seed scarves, the Pride OG, DIOG, the Bastards OG, and that 2016 season ticket holder scarf, Hanger 937, the most recent of the supporters groups. Having said that, some home field advantage coming out of the Dayton play-in game as 11 seeds. They had a lot of momentum coming through their home regional, going through those Dayton play-in games to get in there. And you know what? They have some material that can make some noise right there. They've got their Dayton Pride scarf. They can start to generate some buzz in the Dayton area to get online, smash those votes. You know what? Anything's possible. That's the tournament right here. So even though there are 11 seeds, I wouldn't sleep on anything Hanger 937 has done. I'm looking at the Skyline Chili Regional, that H937. Yeah, I can see that scarf going far in this tournament, the Skyline Chili Regional.
Kevin, you want to ask our bracketologist one last question before we get him out here to higher broadband in the sky?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about this one. If we're looking at some of the upsets, I'd be curious to see where you see one, and maybe I just want you to sort of vet my Cinderella pick here, but I could see the 16 seed, the FC Cincinnati 7 Hills scarf upsetting the club's own number 1 seed in that top left quadrant there of the bracket. Is this a bad pick, or do you think this has legs?
I don't like that pick. I don't like the 7 Hills scarves. Of all the scarves that are the club scarves, I find that one to be one of the weakest. It's not as bad as the split scarves that we're seeing right there. But if you are looking for a sleeper, if you are looking for a scarf that can go a long way in this tournament from a lower seed, I like number 1, the Pride United by Love. It's the number 9 seed out of the Price Hill Chili Regional. Love that scarf. Love the design. Seems to have a lot of legs to it. Colorful, bright, stands out in the crowd. I think that's a scarf that's a low seed that can go a long way in this tournament. And if you're looking for another scarf that's kind of running under the radar, I think there's real value in the 2020 scarves. The DI-20 scarves, there's a recency bias. Everyone bought them just recently. They haven't had a chance to hold them up in the stadium yet because we're all dying of coronavirus. But if you're looking for value in the tournament, I like the 2020 scarves. Even though that bracket right there, I like it. I love scarf if you're looking for underdogs.
Matt, we couldn't have done this without you, and hopefully one day we'll get on the same Wi-Fi network together, and we'll see how this whole thing played out next week. Okay, how's that sound?
We'll try to do better than next time. The Wi-Fi in St. Bernard, not great. Not great. I'll say that for it.
Neither is the water. Matt Brew, bracketologist. God bless you. And stay safe. Keep your social distance. Appreciate it. I think I hung up on everybody. Kevin, are you back?
I am back. That was great.
Again.
Uh-oh. It's telling me turn on your camera so Jonah can see you. So, hey, how about that one? You know, one of maybe the most interesting aspects of the scarf being released and maybe went under the radar for people was the number 12 seed in this one of the 12 seeds in this bracket was actually Queen City Mafia unveiling their 2020 scarf. This was the way that they announced that they were having the scarf. And this is very funny to me for 2 reasons. One is Queen City Mafia historically as an organization very much did not like the Queen City War Pigs, has often gone to war with the Queen City War Pigs. And the fact that they used the Queen City War Pigs to unveil their new scarf kind of shows that we're all coming together as a community during these sort of trying times. The other thing that I thought of immediately was, if there is one organization in Cincinnati that is benefiting from the coronavirus delaying the MLS season by 2 months, it's Queen City Mafia now having an opportunity to print and ship their scarf before the season kicks off here in Cincinnati. So well done to them for not planning. So that was pretty good.
Honestly, you could take all the silver linings from this whole thing and just, you could cover the Rockefeller tree with tinsel from all the silver linings that you're getting. Does that make any sense? Silver linings, tinsel. I don't know what we're talking about. I can't wait to listen to this back, because just the things I've been doing wrong and poorly with the audio, it must just be a cornucopia of sounds and not sounds. Apparently, for the first 5 minutes, there was no brew. So I bet that was a beautiful situation for everybody. But hey, it's affecting us all in different ways. But as you can see now, COVID woes, that's what we're talking about.
Get back to it. So, Jonah.
Yes, please.
On this topic, please. We're kind of talking a little bit about this in the Pride Slack, so I'll throw it to you this way. With the coronavirus keeping most of us at home,
yes,
and you ought to be at home, of course. And it doesn't really appear that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
No.
A lot of questions asking, when is this going to be over? A lot of answers of, I don't know, shrugs. How different do you think society will look when all of this is said and done?
I bet we'll take viruses a little more seriously after this.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll wash our hands more. I didn't realize how bad I was at washing hands. I'm like, stop telling us to wash our hands. Of course, we all wash our hands. Then I started thinking about it. I was like, I really don't wash my hands enough. So sometimes we'll be in public, and a lot of bathrooms aren't set up for children. So like my kids will go to the bathroom, and then like the sink's like too high. I have to like hold them, and it's like one of those things with the sensor. You got to stick their hand under it, and I'm like, let's just go. Let's just go. Right. I'm like a terrible, example for them. I'm like, I know we're using the world's worst bathroom somewhere in public, but there's no time. I don't want to hold you. That's going to change. But overall, I don't know. I think that we're resourceful, but when things get back to normal, we'll get right back to being shitty to each other. I know. Hopefully I'll last a few days. What do you think, Kevin? Is anything going to be the same?
It's funny. When I was in college, I was like, as much of a doomsday prepper as you could be, working $5 an hour, in a college job in the summer and barely working through the school year. But I was really into that. I was like, we got to have a bug out bag. Like, we got to be ready to go and stuff. And then eventually I realized that was like the dumbest thing ever. And then this past couple of weeks hit, and I was like, man, wish I had that bug out bag. Wish I had kept the canned goods in the trunk of the car just in case. So yeah, I think going forward, like, one, I will always buy toilet paper in bulk. Like, that is just going to be apparently the thing I'm going to have to do for the rest of my life. And I think I'm going to try to keep a week's worth of food, like always. There would be like a baseline, ramen and cans of beans and canned fruit, sort of in my house at all times. But man, it's funny too, especially when you look at politics. Like, we just spent the last year debating all of these like crazy socialist ideas, and Andrew Yang being like the bizarre guy recommending $1,000 a month to everybody, and Bernie Sanders and half the Democratic Party being like everybody should have medical care, and Hillary Clinton's big thing in 2016 was better paid family leave and sick days and stuff like that. And that was all crazy, and that was all stupid, and that was all ridiculous. And now it's all anybody wants. It's just all come back together, and this seems to be where we're headed. I would be very curious to see how that changes over time, over the next year. Do these ideas die out because everybody's just panicked and trying to run to the next best idea? Or do we actually see some sort of like, England after World War II sort of reshaping our society type thing? I don't know.
Once you give something to somebody, it's hard to say they can't have it anymore. So I'm going to keep wanting my check. That's all I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But overall, lots of weirdness going around. I put a baseball bat in our closet upstairs. I just felt like, so our house is kind of big. It's the palatial studio. I felt a little disconnected from if someone broke in from the basement or something. I was like, I don't know why they would. Maybe they think we have toilet paper, but I think I need a bat in my closet. And you know what? I feel better. Because the other night I heard a noise and I was like, I'm like a sucker. I'm coming out from the upstairs. Yep. I don't know who's down here, who's around the corner. I get the sock full of pennies to my head, but a nice old wooden bat makes me feel a little better. Also, I lucked out a couple weeks before this all went down. We had run out completely of toilet paper, so I was forced into buying. I bulked up pretty good, so we're shitting pretty for a little bit at least. So that's pretty nice.
There you go.
COVID.
There you go.
This will make a nice transition. Who will coach FCC? Oh my God.
Who cares?
Yeah, everyone's dropping like flies. Hey, we do this for us. I fight for myself. Lost in the shuffle of viral despair. The FCC coaching search. Folks, are you so excited about this? Before the outbreak reached American shores, Jap Stam appeared to be the front runner. With all this extra time, though, beyond the obvious question of who gives a shit, do you think FCC would even venture to announce a coach before this wave of pain finally crashes?
I'll say this. Here's my proposal to FC Cincinnati. Hire Yohan DeMay full-time, give him the reins, and then when he sucks, we can fire him and he can be gone forever. That's clearly where this is headed. And you know what? If he doesn't suck, great. We got a great coach. But I really don't like this. Keep this guy on the bench ready to go at any second. And he's clearly not up to the task. I don't think he's won a game. I don't think he ever managed to win. No,
he won twice.
The Montreal. That's right. The Montreal and the Houston game. And if you remember the Houston game, it was a win that we were very lucky with.
He wasn't the second Montreal. He was gone already. Right? Yeah, he was. Rom was there for the second.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Give me Dame, and then when he fails, we can get rid of him, and then we don't have to have him sort of hovering around the next manager next time.
I thought your angle with Dame, which I was going to agree with as well, would be that this season is already kind of morphed into semi-throwaway, even though we've spent a lot of money, just because everything's so weird and so fucked up. It would be kind of bizarre to bring in a new coach after all of this fucking weirdness happens. And, you don't know how long it'll take DeMay for... I want to assume he's here, possibly.
Right.
So if he is still here, he's at least familiar with everything. He's been here for so long. Normally, I would say we cannot keep DeMay for the season. But if this lasts for 3 or 4 more months before we play another game, at that point, it's just going to be strange. Like, Jap Stam, everybody. It's like, okay. I'm like, I don't know who we still have. And just everything would be weird. So I would give him a pass if they kept him for that reason. And then, you really go big for West End Stadium season, or if he does well, then God bless him for that too. But yeah, that would be my 5 cents.
I like it. I could get behind that. I mean, yeah, it is a throwaway season. Just get the coaching search nailed down. Run everybody through their culture tests. Take them out to Tostados for karaoke night. Just kind of see how it goes. And yeah, that's probably a good way to do that.
No, go ahead.
Now, are we on to the next topic? I don't want to outrun the bell here.
It's not the bell. It's just how long into our return do you think the kid gloves would come back off with FCC fans? Like that first game, it'll be out of control. Everyone's so excited. We lose for a while. Like, I'm just happy we're all together again. But how long before Bailey Facebook is like, no, actually, 3 games into the shortened season, or it's fucking enough already? That's my question. Right. How long would it take to revert?
So I think, we'll see what society looks like and who's left at the end of this. But if we could probably compare this similarly to last year, where there was very much the sense of we're happy to be here. And then 2 months in, we're like, all right, losing sucks. not just happy to be here. I'd really like to see something positive. So yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with 2 months. We get 2 months, just whatever 60 days is. If that goes into the off season, great. We'll overlook a bad signing or a favorite player leaving. But yeah, after 2 months, I think the gloves are back on, and we can take them to task.
We don't wait for the last 30 seconds. Let's move on to USL. Damn.
Topic 6. Yeah,
Last topic.
It's desperate times when you're bringing up old USL. But I'll ask you this. Well, for all of its faults, FCC USL era, it never stopped to a world altering super virus there. So did we really just take those games, those times together in the Bailey for granted?
God, the only answer is, of course, yes. What I wouldn't give to be an innocent, coronaless little child in 122 or the Barley season 1, just watching our dominant USL players. I don't know if you can connect the coronavirus and our lack of USL, but at least we had that. Imagine you're in Nashville, you had that one game, and then you're like, well, I can look back fondly on the USL. It's like, no, you can't. Absolutely, you cannot. We have a lifetime of memories from our first spell before MLS kicked us, and then the world kicked us even harder. So it's nice to reminisce just in general.
One thing I meant to look up was, has FCC existed longer than the Silverbacks at this point? And is FCC the longest running soccer team or a professional soccer team in Cincinnati? I'd be very curious to see if we've sort of crushed that threshold yet, or if there's still an older one out there. But yeah, this is a real bummer. Like, there was a point in time where in USL, like, people not standing on the concrete and standing on the bleachers was like the biggest concern to me. and
nothing's
and now
changed.
I'm yeah, right. No, it's where basically I'm all focused. So don't let coronavirus distract you. The Bailey is still horribly dangerous to be standing in.
Oh, happy trails. I cut that one off at 3 minutes. Wow, 3Def just joined. Thanks, man. You just in time. Fucking hell.
Wow.
Goodbye, normalcy. Happy trails. You wanted to say happy trails to the season.
Oh,
what
yeah.
You mean by that, Kevin?
Well, I was very depressed when coming up with topics for tonight, and I guess in a way this season is gone. Like, this will forever be like, Major League Baseball has their shortened, strike season, and I'm pretty sure the NBA has one as well, and the NHL has a number of, dramatically altered seasons. I mean, we're at the point now where this season is always going to have an asterisk next to it, that this is sort of the end of a regular season in the most literal sense of, like, it's irregular from here on out. The records are going to be weird. The goal scoring records aren't going to be quite the same. It's just a very weird situation to be living in, and to not know what the end is. Presumably with a player strike, they'll end at some point. Like, it's a very solvable problem. But with this, I mean, on and off stoppages. So I don't know. And in a lot of ways, we're saying happy trails to a regular season, and we may not see a regular season for a while.
It's also sad when they're talking about all NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB on TV all the time. Like, we're missing seasons from all these. I don't think I've heard MLS ever mentioned on any of those. We're
No.
like, MLS was 2 games into their season. Anybody? Hey. And that shit's over too. And I guess I should expect that. But they're like, what does this mean for the Curling Association? What does this mean for professional badminton in Thailand? This is just awful. Oh, the MLS is playing? Oh, interesting.
Neat. It kind of reminded me of John Oliver did, like an at-home version of his show, and he was talking about all the sports leagues that were canceled, and he went out of his way to name all of them except Major League Soccer, and then even had a joke about like hockey. Yeah, nobody even knows when their season is, and hockey is delayed or something like that. And it's just like, oh man, Major League Soccer is right there. And then later he went on this giant rant about the Premier League and Liverpool being denied the chance for a historic title. I was like, oh my God, this is killing me. You dedicated a whole portion of the show to soccer, and you couldn't even have a casual mention of Major League Soccer as being a league that was delayed. So that was a bummer to see.
We were the first to self-quarantine, even when it was needed, just from people's eyes. I would say, I was thinking about who does this benefit the most, and I'm going to say Chicharito.
Yes.
I don't know why, but it just feels like I feel like he took like a nice breath. He was like, all right, good. Yeah, this is right. Because things are not my team's bad. I might possibly be washed. This is a good break. What about you, Kevin? I'll get you one more question for it. Who do you think this benefits the most besides the FCC player in the MLS who's like, I could use this break already, 2 games in the season?
Yeah. You know who I was thinking of was Joseph Martinez. So
Of course.
he tears his ACL. He's probably going to be out for at least a year, maybe more. And Atlanta's trying to scramble, to possibly replace him, retool their team. I mean, this guy is in a lot of ways the face of the league and really the best player right alongside there with Vela. But he's sort of like the Major League Soccer guy. And him being out, this helps Atlanta. Like every month that soccer isn't played is another like free month, so to speak, of Joseph's injury. So they got to be feeling pretty good about a super shortened season. Anything can happen in a much shorter season, and then he gets to come back next year. Presumably everything is back to normal at that point, and they might not have missed him as much. So pretty good for Joseph Martinez there in Atlanta. And the CDC is in Atlanta. Have we talked about this? There's
A little conspiracy theory there.
a little shady. It's a little shady.
I'm sold. You don't even have to explain it to me. CDC, same city, Joseph Martinez. They're poisoning us.
They said no soccer for a year while Joseph is hurt, and they've pretty much got it.
Well, chew on that, folks, as your final thought. My final thought of the night, the impending doom and more lockdowns, just reach out online, give your internet friends a hug, join the Pride, get on the Slack, be part of something bigger than yourself. Cry together.
Yeah. I'll say, it's cheesy. I'm going to interrupt your final thought here and say the Pride Slack has actually been super helpful. That there's just this constant buzz of activity on the Slack. I think we have like 500 people on there. Everybody is in, dare I say, self-quarantined into various channels. So if you want to talk wrestling, there's a wrestling channel. If you want to talk, eating right during this time or some body weight fitness in the basement, there's a gaming channel. There's a channel dedicated to this virus. If you want to share all the depressing news stories coming out of Italy. It's also very depressing. But no, there's a bunch of different channels. There's lots of different places. I know a good chunk of people are watching. I think it's semi-pro tonight. So there's a movie night each night where everybody watches together and talks along. And a bunch of people are playing Animal Crossing just came out today. So it's a good group of people to be around. There's a good community there. And I know it's helped me. I'm sure it's helped other people out there just to feel like things are relatively normal and people are still out there living their lives. So I highly recommend it.
Well, for all looks like 40,000 of you who watched the live stream tonight, I appreciate it. Will we be back in? Oh, the post Cincy just joined. Is that you?
It was not me. I don't think. Maybe it was.
Well,
it definitely just was. I thought I was on my other account.
If there's a reason again, we'll be back. And if there's no reason, we might be back anyways. But Kevin, you said you have time, right?
Yeah, I have quite literally nothing going on in my life right now, other than my job. So during the week, I'm kind of busy. But other than that, no, there's not a lot of social.
Mr. I have a job still. Fancy.
not to flex on anybody, but old homeboy here is still getting a paycheck. So
Money is going to be meaningless real soon. You'll be bartering your body before you know it. It is the time of the cam girl officially. So God bless them. God bless you. That's my final thoughts. Kevin, a final word before I say adios.
good luck in the cam economy.
I will try my best. Look for me tonight, guys. God bless.